My name is Daniel Krug. I am the CEO and Senior Wealth Manager at Daniel Krug and Associates. I am going to be the single presenter today. Rocky is out in California with a brand new baby grandchild. So the next time you see him, tell him congratulations. He's enjoying his time out there with the grandkids. We do have some disclosures. I'm not going to leave this on too long, but let me get my face out of the way so you can see the whole thing. And you can also see this on the website at Daniel Krug and Associates YouTube, where you can see all the videos. Housekeeping for today. This is going to take about 30 minutes, so we're going to try to keep this really quick and concise. The session will be recorded again, so you can go back to our site to be able to take a look at it. Everybody will be muted. We will use the chat room for any kind of questions, or if you just want to say hi. We want to thank City National Rockdale for their contribution. We couldn't do this without them. They are just a great back office, do a great job of research, and it does help with everything we do moving forward with our clients. Now, again, this is wealth management. So today we're focusing on investment strategies and wealth enhancement strategies, where you're looking at portfolio management, tax mitigation, financial planning, cash flow planning, liquidity planning, all that. It's just part of what we do. It's in our DNA. For today's agenda, we're looking at major developments this week. I'll talk a little bit about what's really popped up over the last 2 weeks. The COVID-19 update, we'll talk a bit about Michigan and also about the U.S. The economic impact and policy responses. We'll talk a little bit about the economy, where it's going and how it's pushing forward. And then looking at incorporating goals into portfolio management, which is again what we do, the tactical side of managing for clients. We'll look a little bit into opportunities, and then we'll get into question and answer. So we're going to start out with major developments. So the S&P 500 hit an all-time high again this last week, really led by technology shares. The technology shares are really pushing the S&P 500 ahead by about 5% over the S&P X, the 6 largest tech stocks out there. So technology is really driving it. The Democratic Convention established their policy platform, and the probability of a Democratic sweep for all 3 branches has actually increased based on the polls out there. The COVID flare-ups in some parts of Europe are kind of a little bit dramatic, especially in France and in Spain. So both of those areas are working to get it back under control. The rest of Europe is in pretty good shape. Vaccine. The vaccine is in the late stage trials, due in the next 1 to 3 months. That's a big deal. The concern is that there's only about 50 to 60% of the people out there that are willing to be vaccinated. They'd like to see 75% to get that herd mentality. Who knows? We'll see what happens. That's a personal choice for everybody. There is a high savings amongst the individuals, and that is really driving consumption right now. Spending is relatively high despite unemployment. So a lot going on there. Fiscal stimulus failure. The global monetary and fiscal stimulus has really kind of pushed the economy this year. But with the House on vacation, there's really not a whole lot of communication going on between the Senate and the House, and therefore we're kind of stalled. We do believe it's going to happen, but it may not happen until the recess is over. Equity valuations are high. What does that mean? The risk of correction, it's higher, much higher, but it's difficult to time. Portfolio allocations, because of that, continue to emphasize risk management. And then the layoffs and bankruptcies for mid and large businesses are really increasing. Matter of fact, there's about 80,000 businesses that have basically shut their doors because of closing down the country. That is going to have a long-term effect on unemployment and on obviously businesses in general. But that being said, the U.S. is still recovering faster than any other country right now. So that's a positive. So let's look at the updates. We're going to start with Michigan. Michigan, you've probably seen this chart before in this heat map from the state of Michigan. It's directly from their website. About 2 weeks ago when we had a workshop, you would have seen that the Upper Peninsula and Traverse City were in blue. Again, Michigan's broken down into 8 regions. The 2 top regions were blue. The rest of the regions were improving. Kind of looks like what Traverse City is right now. The problem that we're seeing out there is there's really no clear criteria as to why we're closing up more relative to opening up. And we're looking for a little bit of guidance from the governor on that. If you look at Michigan statewide, the daily tests over time are increasing. They're getting much higher. So that's a big deal. If you think about it, from April 1st of this year, we are now 7.7 times the amount of testing as of August 24th than we were in April. So the testing is out there. What would you expect to see? You would expect to see more positive rates out there. Now, that being said, the statewide positivity test is actually been pretty stable over the last 2 months. So you can see by this chart that the current rate of positivity is at 3.3%. You go back to April and it was at 35.8%. So much higher in April. We've really got it down to a low, very low, medium, or low category. They expect it to really stay at this level until a vaccine is in place. Now, the issue here is if we've got the level down so low, can we open up? And we'll talk a little bit about measures that should be taken that could allow us to do that. You're looking at the overall statewide deaths over time from April, which the average death rate for 7 days was 82. Now it's down to 8. So again, everything has come down and stabilized at this point, and that should really be good news for everybody. If you look at the U.S., we had a bit of a surge, but again, as you open up different states, you're going to have different states that spike as they open up and get things rolling, and other states that are reopening. But that being said, when you're looking at the cases and hospitalizations, they're still on a downtrend. Matter of fact, 90% of the U.S. population is below a transmission rate of 1. What does that mean? Well, for every 1 person who gets it, less than 1 person will catch it from that person. And that is one of the reasons why this is going down right now. So the average fatalities for the U.S. is less than 1,000 over the 7-day average. And this is the first time in a month. So that's a very positive thing. Texas, Florida, and Arizona, which were quite positive about a month ago, have seen their cases drop dramatically. So everything is kind of moving in the right direction. Now, when you talk about what is the right measure to close down, to curtail the virus and have the minimum mortality rate, well, MIT did a paper on this and they did a study. And what they found that it is possible to achieve a safety result of lockdowns with more targeted approach and not a total lengthy shutdown. So what this chart shows is that on the left-hand side, you've got a lengthy total lockdown, which would cost about $8 trillion. You swing all the way to the right, and you've got targeted group distancing, improved testing, and isolating, and the cost of that is about $1.5 trillion. Seriously lower. And the interesting thing is, all 5 of these different options have a result of a mortality rate of about 0.2. So we can spend a whole lot less and do the same job. And hopefully what the government will do is take a look at information like this and say, all right, let's get more targeted in what we're doing so we can get the economy moving again and actually save businesses, save jobs, and save lives for everybody who's been unemployed and shut in. Now, here's some more good news. When you think about the Operation Warp Speed relative to the vaccine, generally it takes a long time to get FDA approval, but they have absolutely fast-tracked the approval and the process. So when you're looking at process of how do you get a vaccine from point A to Z, in other words, from inception to actually distribution. Well, in this case, the R&D and initial safety trials were running between January and May. The safety and efficiency trials, which typically take 42 months, were running from June to November. Now you look at the upcoming months, they're expecting distribution to start between December and February. Typically that takes about 6 months. So they are fast tracking this to try to get this vaccine out much earlier for everybody. So again, good news out there, and it bodes well for opening up.